It was to the point where one wasn't working, three was never enough, and I felt like I needed it and it needed to happen now. Hi YouTube, it's Olivia Lydia. Welcome back to Olive for Greens. Today we're going to be more like a vlog style kind of thing, and we're gonna just have a nice simple conversation about coffee. A lot of people who choose a plant-based lifestyle or just a healthier lifestyle in general tend to give up coffee because of the addiction and everything that comes along with coffee. There's so many conflicting articles about there's X benefits to coffee, here's why you shouldn't drink coffee, and it's just like, what do? I don't know what to do kind of thing. So ultimately I think people just do what they want. At the end of the day, we do what we want. We are in 100% control of our lives. So with everything else going on in life, why is coffee such a big deal? I'll give a background about my story and my history with coffee, pretty much from my childhood all the way through my adulthood. When I was a kid, my grandmother lived with us for an extended period of time, and I was very close with her. I followed her. I wanted to do everything she wanted to do. And in the morning and sometimes in the afternoon, we would have café con leche. She would allow me to drink coffee with her, but it was like this much coffee, this much milk, and that's how I enjoyed it initially. So what my grandmother would do is the coffee would be made and then the milk would be heated up on the stove and it would be poured into the coffee. So I drank it like that for a really long time, and then coffee just wasn't a huge thing growing up, like as a teenager and all that. I still had it occasionally. Now I am a young adult and I'm in college, and what happens when you go to college? Well, a lot of things happen when you go to college, but a huge thing was no sleep. You're trying to get a social life, you're trying to study, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to have fun, you're staying up late. It's chaos, and you think, well, how am I going to stay awake? Coffee. So this is when coffee pretty much took over my entire everything. Coffee was in the morning, in the afternoon, a few times in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening if I was going to break night because I was studying for a test. Coffee was right by my side. I would take a nap, wake up, grab coffee, go take my test. That was life. So graduating college, the addiction stayed with me. I didn't think it was a big deal. I just didn't. I would have coffee. I remember I started working and I would have coffee in the morning, several times before lunch, and then maybe one after lunch, and that was my routine. So when did this all change? Well, you're probably already gonna guess this, but yes, it was when I became a vegetarian. The reason is, at the time, that's when I really started hearing and reading all these articles about don't drink too much coffee, it's bad for you, it's all this addiction, and I was like, what? I was like really shocked. Shocked for whatever reason. I guess I was actually tuning in with why it was bad. So I cut down a lot. I can't quite remember how much, but I do remember I had cut down significantly. At least maybe 2 cups or so. My life took a shift, and I actually started working 2 jobs, and forget it. It was coffee 6 cups a day. I mean, it was pretty bad. It was to the point where 1 wasn't working, 3 was never enough, and having that, 4th cup, 5th cup of coffee was like not even a big deal. I just didn't care. I needed it. I felt like I needed it, and it needed to happen now. So even though I had, been drinking more coffee, I was more, like I said, I was a little bit more conscious, a little more health conscious about my decisions in general. So I would use like organic creamer, and at that point I was drinking not milk, but I felt like can't have my coffee without creamer. This is unacceptable. It's gross without it. So I had switched to an organic creamer because I figured the only ingredient is cream and it'll be fine. It's better, whatever. And that's how it was for a while. In March of 2017, I decided I wanted to try a raw vegan lifestyle. The whole conversation about a raw vegan diet and lifestyle, I can't even put this in this video, but I'm mentioning that because it's important. When I changed my diet to raw vegan, I realized, oh crap, I can't have coffee. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Essentially, I made the raw diet work for me. In terms of coffee, I did still have my coffee at that time. Vegan, it needed to be vegan, so I had to give up my creamer. So I'm stressed. I'm like, how am I gonna do this? I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably gonna do this raw vegan thing for like a day, because if I have to compromise my coffee, F that, it's not gonna happen. Fast forwarding a bit, I told myself, we're gonna wean off. You're gonna wean off. I knew doing this raw vegan diet, I was gonna experience probably some headaches, some fatigue, and all that jazz. Those are also similar to withdrawal symptoms with caffeine. So I said, let it all just happen at one time. I need to stop drinking so much coffee anyway. My main symptoms that I experienced when I weaned off of coffee, well, first of all, I didn't realize it was an addiction until I started to really have these symptoms. If you want to talk about being in migraine city, that was me. It was bad. I remember some nights I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. I didn't know how to get rid of this headache. I tried natural remedies. And again, it could have been the combination of going raw and giving up the caffeine. Sleepiness, fatigue, and lack of concentration were also really huge around this time. Again, it would only last for about a day or two, and then it would go away. Every week I weaned off a little bit more. Started to read up on what other people did to help them. And I switched over to tea in the afternoon, and I would also have tea in the evening, but as you saw in my second What I Eat in a Day video, I have chamomile tea at night, which does not have any caffeine. And in the afternoon, I would have something with caffeine, but it would be like a ginger tea or just a different flavor that did have caffeine, but has significantly less than coffee. A week after I had started, I think, the raw vegan, I had switched over to coconut milk in a can, which is also not raw, and still kept my coconut sugar. I had stevia around, but I was like, I just don't know. I just don't know. I was having so much doubt with this whole thing. And then about a week after that, now I'm drinking less coffee, and about another week goes by, I switched over to stevia. And I was so happy, and I was also shocked that I was able to take my coffee from like 6 cups to just 1. Like, that is huge. To me, that was huge. Today, I definitely just have 1 cup a day. I have it with coconut milk and stevia, and that's just the way I prefer it. Why I drink coffee now, I love it. I love coffee. Could I give it up 100%? I probably could. Yeah, I probably could. I have my coffee in the afternoon now because I don't want my body to be dependent on it in the morning. I mean, that can probably be taken any way you choose, but that's just a personal choice. I love the taste of coffee, the smell. I look forward to it. It's one of my daily things, and maybe one day I'll give it up and maybe I'll switch over to decaf. But for right now, for today, for tomorrow, this is how it's gonna be for me. I know what it's like to struggle with the addiction, and you might be thinking, you're still addicted to coffee, Liv. Well, I guess it's up for debate, but honestly, it's like having vegan cookies, like a chocolate chip cookie. Like, yeah, you put all the, maybe I'll use like coconut sugar in that, and gluten-free flour, but essentially, are those really, really super good for you at the end of the day? Probably not. People are gonna have their opinions, and I'm gonna just revert back to what I said. We make our own decisions, we are in control of our own lives, and that's just how I choose to do it. So anyway, this is gonna be it for now. It is the evening, it's early evening, the sun's kind of up, and I already have my coffee today. So that being said, I am going to film how I make my coffee. For you it'll be just a couple minutes, but for me it's going to be a couple of hours. You might have seen in my first what I eat in a day video, I blended it. That's one option. My second what I eat in a day video, I just poured it right in there. Tomorrow we're going to do a different method, and I mentioned it earlier in this video, but you don't have to rewind because I'm just going to show you. We're going to dive right into coffee making. We're just gonna have fun with this. We're gonna have fun with it because it's coffee and it's joyous and it's delicious. It's wonderful, and you see what I'm saying? So it's Saturday and early afternoon, and it's definitely coffee time. So this is the brand of coffee that I use. I buy it from Trader Joe's. It's organic and fair trade, called Café. And I've been bringing my coffee home lately and grinding it myself with my NutriBullet, because I recently discovered that if you grind the coffee at the store and it's organic, and the coffee that was previously grinded before yours was not organic, then your coffee is no longer organic. So there's my baby. I guess it's coffee time for him too. That's Sully. So once the coffee's all grounded up, I add it into this jar, and I usually do more, but for video purposes I just wanted to do a little bit to show you. We don't want that coconut milk to make our coffee cold, so that's why we're going to heat it up on the stove. And to that, in a pot, we're going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of stevia. You could do, again, to your liking. We're going to bring that just to a boil, and now our coffee's ready. We're going to pour our warm coconut milk right into the hot coffee. Give it a little stir, and it's done. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope that if you're struggling with coffee addiction, you definitely overcome it. Also, if you are a chronic coffee drinker and you think that regular creamer is the only way to go, I hope you find this way helpful and you find it just as delicious as I do. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.